kicking. What was that? An exhibition? We need emotional content. Try it. I said emotional content, not anger. Now try again. With me. That's it. How did it feel to you? Let me think. Don't think. Feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory. Do you understand?
Hey friends, so nice to be in this moment sharing my thoughts and ideas with you all. I have to say, researching this new topic has been eventful as much as mind-blowing at the same time. Yes, this topic may cause others to question my intelligence, but truly I have found it to be so freeing and such an escape from this cage, from this matrix, from the Jesuit laws and rules that have been set upon us. The truth is, the globalists have caged us. They have mind-controlled us. They have rewritten history. And as much as it's been spiritually freeing researching this topic, I've seen physical changes before my very own eyes. The topic I present to all open-minded free thinkers is the theory of the flat earth. There is much to be researched here, and I keep open-minded as I sift through the evidence. I don't ask you to simply believe me that the earth is flat. I simply ask you to question things yourself. You know, there's some key things that have popped out, you know. First off, the fact that the earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour is a little hard for me to understand, because when I saw the guy do the Red Bull jump, he ascended and then descended, landing 6 miles from his ascension spot. So the scientists try to tell me that the atmosphere is what was making him spin at the same speed as the earth, but in my mind I just see a flat earth not spinning. But I'm not telling anyone that I believe anything or to believe anything. I'm just asking everyone to keep an open mind and have a look into NASA, have a look into pictures of Earth from space. You know, some pretty interesting answers start coming up, especially with the grating, the spherical shape, and, you know, just the basic mechanics of gravity have been called into question. And I ask everyone to take a look themselves, and I say peace, love, light, and kindness to all.
The way we view the universe has a profound impact on our understanding of ourselves. Today we see the Earth as a small, fragile globe, orbiting at just the right distance from the Sun for life to flourish. It appears to be the only planet with life in the solar system, and the planets themselves are mere specks in the vacuum of space. Human life seems reduced to insignificance when set against the vast, nearly empty spaces of modern astronomy. But before the modern era, the universe appeared much more comfortable and accommodating. Thus, medieval European cosmology placed the Earth in the center of a small spherical universe surrounded by the abode of God and the elect. In this study, we will explore an early Earth-centered conception of the cosmos from India. This cosmological system is presented in the Bhagavat Purana, or Srimad Bhagavatam, one of India's important sacred texts. We begin with a brief outline of this system. First of all, the Bhagavatam describes innumerable universes. Each one is contained in a spherical shell surrounded by layers of elemental matter that mark the boundary between mundane space and the unlimited spiritual world. The region within the shell is called the Brahmanda, or Brahma egg. It contains an earth disk called Bhumandala that divides it into an upper heavenly half and a subterranean half filled with amniotic water. Bhumandala is divided into a series of geographic features called oceans and islands. But these are geometrically perfect rings of cosmic size with no resemblance to irregular earthly continents. In the center of Bhumandala is the circular island of Jambudvip, with 9 subdivisions called Varshas. These include Bharatavarsha, which can be understood in one sense as India, and in another as the total area inhabited by ordinary human beings. Jambudvip is centered on the geometrically shaped Sumeru mountain, which represents the world axis and is surmounted by the city of Brahma, the universal creator. The Bhagavatam says that the sun orbits on its one-wheeled chariot, which rides on Bhumandala. If we take Bhumandala as a literal plane, we see that the sun orbits nearly in this plane. The motion of the sun on its chariot corresponds to what happens in the Arctic during the summer, but it never would be observed at the latitudes of India. The ecliptic projects onto an off-centered circle in the planisphere map, and the sun's position on this map corresponds to the point on the Earth globe where the sun is at the zenith. The terminator, or boundary between day and night, is a great circle on the globe that is perpendicular to the sun's zenith position. It projects stereographically onto a circular arc on the planisphere that rotates once every 24 hours. At the equinoxes, this arc becomes a straight line. At the solstices, it bends so that the north polar region is illuminated in the northern summer, or in darkness in northern winter. The passage of day and night is described in the Bhagavatam as a straight terminator rotating over a plane map, as we see here. Here we see the ecliptic and the zodiac projected stereographically onto the Earth map. The sun and zodiac revolve clockwise together once per day, while the sun moves counterclockwise around the zodiac once per year. Here the zodiac is projected stereographically onto Bhumandala. Note that as the sun goes around the off-centered zodiac in its yearly orbit, it crosses the ring-shaped islands and oceans of Bhumandala. This ocean-crossing motion is described in the Puranas, and this also adds weight to the planisphere model. Bhumandala can be compared with an astronomical instrument called an astrolabe, which was popular in the Middle Ages. On the astrolabe, the off-centered circle represents the orbit of the sun, the ecliptic. In an astrolabe, the Earth is represented in stereographic projection on a flat plate called the mater. The ecliptic circle and important stars are represented on another plate called the ret. Different planetary orbits could likewise be represented by different plates, and these would be seen projected onto the Earth plate when one looks down on the instrument. The Bhagavatam similarly presents the orbits of the sun, the moon, and important stars on a series of planes parallel to Bhumandala. The orbits of the planets are placed on additional parallel planes. Here we see the Bhagavatam's model of the orbits of the sun, moon, and 28 important star constellations. These lie in 3 planes parallel to Bhumandala. The layout is comparable to that of an astrolabe. Seen from the side, we find that the moon is higher than the sun, but this is simply an artifact of the astrolabe model. It should not be taken as physical. Seen from above, everything falls into place in projection in an astronomically realistic way. Here is the geocentric system as given by the famous astronomer Tycho Brahe. Note that Brahe has the 5 traditional planets orbiting the Sun and the Sun orbiting the Earth. In the 19th century, the South Indian scholar Tiruvenkata Ramanuja Geoswami compared the solar system with Bhumandala. Here is a diagram of his model. Tiruvenkata's model exactly matches the geocentric model of Tycho Brahe. In fact, this is the natural way to compare Bhumandala with the planetary orbits. In a geocentric model, a planet orbits the Sun, while the Sun orbits the Earth. This produces a looping motion, like that produced by a spirograph. In this simple mechanical model, we see the Sun orbiting the Earth in the center, and Venus orbiting the Sun. Here we see the orbital track traced out by Venus in its geocentric orbit. Note that it passes from one boundary circle of Bhumandala to another. Here we see the same thing for Mercury. The alignment between the planetary orbit and the circular features of Bhumandala is approximate at 8 miles per yojana. If we choose about 8.5 miles per yojana, it becomes very accurate for all 5 traditional planets. Here we see the orbit of Mars. This orbital spiral also grazes an inner circle of Bhumandala and an outer circle. The Sun's geocentric orbit is a simple near-circular ellipse that runs down the center of one of the oceans of Bhumandala. The inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, are close neighbors of the Sun. For these planets, there is a 1-to-1 match between the 6 inner and outer boundary curves of their orbits and 6 bounding circles of Saptadweep, the inner system of 7 islands and oceans of Bhumandala. The Sun's orbit provides a 7th circle, dividing the 6 into 2 symmetric groups. The outer planets, Jupiter and Saturn, delineate a larger ring of Bhumandala lying outside Saptadweep. Jupiter defines the inner boundary of this ring, and Saturn nearly grazes its outer boundary, known as Lokaloka Mountain. As we mentioned before, this ring mountain is fixed in the Bhagavatam as the outer boundary of the luminaries, and Saturn is the outermost planet visible to the naked eye. The Bhagavatam similarly places 28 constellations called nakshatras in a plane just above the moon. The moon completes one orbit in 27 1/3 days, and the nakshatras mark its day-by-day motion around the ecliptic. This makes sense in the planisphere interpretation, where the nakshatras serve as a clock face, and the sun, moon, and planets are like the hands of the clock. In addition to the 28 nakshatras, the Bhagavatam mentions a few other stars, such as the 7 sages defining the Big Dipper. These stars are also placed close to the plane of Bhumandala, and their function is to mark the turning of the Kala Chakra, the wheel of time.